I threw up a poll because I wanted to get a quick read on where Black women were with their current work situation. The poll was asking, were you planning to find another job? Were you planning to do your own thing? Or did you just not know, but you knew something had to change? And most of the responses were that you knew something needed to change. You knew that, but you just didn't know what. And that makes complete and total sense because right now things are not stable and they don't feel sustainable. These jobs don't. I mean, when people are losing government jobs in the rate that Black women have lost them in the past year, that's a scary thing because what has been more solid and safe than a government job? Last week, I talked to you about the things that you needed to look into and do if you wanted to start your own business, if you wanted to take that entrepreneurial journey. This week, I want to take it a little bit deeper and talk about the mistakes that I made, the complete shit show that I caused by playing into my fear, playing into my need to validate myself to other people, and how that just caused problems in every direction when it came to the clothing line that I started. Yes, it had success. Yes, there were some wins. There were some cool things that happened, but this isn't the hype story. This isn't the, oh yeah, I was this boss clothing designer out here doing my thing in LA. This isn't that. This is a story that tells you what I was really doing wrong. And I'm going to, be honest with you about those mistakes and what it feels like when you start a business where you don't have community, you don't have anybody to talk to about it, because those are the times that we were in when I started that clothing line back in 2004. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome to the Coffee No Cream podcast. My name is Erin Braxton, and I am the host of Coffee No Cream. Here on Coffee No Cream, we are unapologetically dedicated to Black women, and we share what I like to call Coffee No Cream moments, those things that happen to us Black women in business and in life just because we are Black women. Now, I want to kick off the storytelling of my clothing line journey and my business journey when I left my corporate job, because I want to help prevent what I did from happening to you. Okay. And there's some very key or common, there's some key things that happened that I did that no matter who you are, if you're starting a business in the state of mind that I was in, you're going to set yourself up to fail. And I don't want that to happen to you. So the era matters here. The time matters because I filed my LLC in 2004 and we were pre-social media. I mean, obviously we had email, we had internet, we had all that, but there was no social media. There were no Black women, especially, starting businesses loud and proud and very public facing, where you could see them doing something that you desire to do. So I was very secretive about the business that I was starting. I was secretive because there was this crazy moonlighting clause in our contracts at the place that I worked, and it wasn't a conflict of interest, but everybody was just scared to do anything outside of that advertising agency. But I was very secretive because, nobody was doing that. Being an entrepreneur wasn't hot. It wasn't the thing. It wasn't what you did, right? Everybody worked their job. They got their money. They tried to make as much as they can. They bought a home. They got married. They saved their money, contributed to their 401k. They did normal things that we were taught to do. So starting my own business was, it was different. It wasn't the norm. Now everybody's online, starting their own businesses. You can see what people are doing. People are very open and sharing what they're going through, but we just did not have that back then. Okay. So I was very secretive. I was secretive because I didn't want people to see me fail. not just the people that I was working with, but also just people in my life. I wanted to win. I needed to prove myself, okay? Now, mind you, I'm coming from and still working at this time, because I left my job in 2007. I filed the LLC for the business in 2004. I was very much desiring to prove myself, to feel validated, because I wasn't getting that at work. Those people were telling me I wasn't strategic. They were gaslighting me. They were just saying I didn't deserve to be there. So, I wanted to be like, fuck those people. I'm going to do this and I'm going to show them. Okay. And it was to my own disadvantage, because I wasn't in the mindset. I was doing things from a very ignorant, irresponsible way, because I was operating from a place of wanting to validate and not a place of wanting to sustain a business. Okay. So I started the clothing line. I had an idea to start this clothing line. I always wanted to start a clothing line, not just because I was trying to prove myself to people that didn't matter. I just wanted to have my own business. My dad was a business owner. He had his own shop. I used to go, down to his shop, and I was just like, he had his own, it was his own building. It was a little garage where he did auto body work, and it was his. He could set his tools up the way he wanted. He had his office. He would remodel it. He would do his little thing. And I just thought that was the coolest shit ever. And when I was working in Dallas, and every day I have to get up from work, and it wasn't just a Sunday scaries. It was the scaries every flipping day. I had to go in there, and I just wanted to putz around. I wanted to eat my breakfast. I wanted to watch the Today Show. I wanted to chill. I just wanted to have my own business. I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to work for people. And I was thinking about a business that I could start, and I decided I wanted to do a pajama line. And then it was really loungewear before loungewear was a thing. So I decide to learn how to manufacture loungewear. And I did a lot of things to get that going. And I don't even want to get into all of it, or we would be here all day. But the bottom line is I figured out how to source contractors, fabric, materials, seamstresses, and sewers, markers and graders, the people who make your pattern from one size to the next. I learned how to I found a pattern maker. I just found all of the people necessary to produce this clothing line. And so I did. And in an effort to want to validate myself and do it the way everybody was doing it, because that was not even the smartest way, but I wanted to do it that way because I needed to prove to myself that I could be successful in a job, in a business, professionally, because I was being told I was not cutting the mustard. I decided I wanted to go to market. Now, for those of you who know, if you know anything about clothing, when you're selling to retailers, to stores, you want your stuff in the stores, you take your clothing to market. If you've heard of the Magic Show, I don't even know if they still do the Magic Show. I'm sure they do. It's a big show in Vegas where you take your clothes and you sell to the stores, and the stores come and they give you a purchase order to produce, and then you manufacture the clothes and you ship them the next season. I didn't go to the Magic Show. I was in the loungewear category. Again, that wasn't really a thing back then. It was new. They didn't know where to put it. So I decided to go to Lingerie Market. That was in New York City. So I had to make samples. I had to schlep all this shit up from Dallas to New York City. I got a booth. That was at least $3,000. Airfare, all the stuff to go in the booth, food, transportation. A lot of times I would bring somebody because I was insecure in this business because I didn't know it, and I had friends who were in fashion. So I would bring people to market with me. And so it was very expensive. Every time I went was at least $6,000 or $7,000. And I would sell, not enough to cover the trip usually, but I felt like I was getting exposure. Okay. So I remember talking to my father, and this is one of the big mistakes that I made in that business. Again, I didn't have anybody to talk to. I'm talking to my dad, and I'm just like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not listening to him. I'm going to do it my way, right? This is what my dad said to me in about 2005. He says, you know what, Erin? There must be something you can do with that internet. And I didn't listen to him. I didn't think he knew what he was talking about. I mean, I kind of thought he knew what he was talking about because low key, I desired to have an internet business. I wanted my clothing line to be an internet business. And at any moment, I probably could have saved myself, especially earlier on, stopped and pivoted and just sold online. But I didn't do that. And here's why that was so stupid. Let me just explain. Maybe you know this, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to explain. When you're making clothing, if it costs you $10 to make a pair of lounge pants, if you want to sell it to a wholesaler to sell in their store, to a store to sell in their store to a consumer, you're going to take that $10 pair of pants, you're going to multiply that by 2.5, and you're going to sell it for that price, whatever that is, $25. I know. Yeah, that's what it is. Then they're going to take that price and they're going to multiply it by like 2.5 or 3, and they're going to sell it to the consumer for that. If I would have just done what I felt I should do, be online, which I ultimately ended up online, okay, that's my place. That's my jam, but I didn't. But if I would have done that, I could have made a wider margin because I wouldn't have had to sell it, at a lower price to wholesale and then mark it up. I could have gone straight from cost to retail, made more money, wouldn't have had to sell so many units. Also, I wouldn't have to wait. When you are selling to stores, they come to market. Okay, so there's a market. It was like at the end of July, the beginning of August. And they come to market and they're purchasing for, not fall of the same year, but like winter of the next year. All right. So you're making the clothes after they've ordered them. You have to put all the money out front. You have to pay everybody involved. You have to ship it. And then they give you terms like, I'm going to pay you net 30 days from the time I get the order, or net 60 days from the time I get the order, or even net 90. Okay. So me going online and selling online would have been ideal. But again, I was operating at a place where I'm trying to prove myself, validate myself, show that I can do it like the white girls or, the big guys or whatever. And I was just steadily sinking into debt, into a hole because I couldn't keep up with it. And, I've talked about this in the past. I kept throwing money, trying to make it go. But what I also was doing when I had the business is not only was I trying to validate myself, but I was operating from a place of fear because all I wanted to do was do the fun stuff. Okay, so yeah, I design the clothes. Yeah, I can source the fabric. I can pull it all together. I have a finished garment. Okay, I learned how to do all of that. But I wanted to spend time on my hang tags and my labels and just my packaging and, oh my gosh, this is what my booth's going to look like. I wasn't doing what you need to do in the bones of a business. I didn't have a budget. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a bookkeeper. I wasn't keeping my books. I mean, I planned to keep my books. I had QuickBooks. I bought it. I had it. I had invoices. I had all that. But I wasn't really on top of that. I wasn't paying attention to that shit at all. I wanted to do the fun stuff because I was afraid to do the real stuff. I was afraid to get into the numbers because the numbers might tell me something I didn't want to know. I was afraid to let somebody come in and help me. I was afraid to get a bookkeeper because I didn't want the bookkeeper in my business. I didn't want him to know how broke I was, how bad it was, how much or how little, if any, profit I was making. I was afraid, so I avoided it. So I focused on the fun things. Hell, I have a rug out there right now that has my name on it. Somebody told me, oh my God, you should get this rug and you should get it with your logo on it, which was my name because the name of the line was my name, Erin Braxton Loungewear. And I had a rug made by the people who would make all of Neiman Marcus's rugs because I did this when I was living in Dallas, and Neiman's headquarters is in Dallas. And I would do shit like that, like spend all this money on shit like that, because I was trying to look the part. I was throwing money at it, trying to be who I thought I wanted to be, not building on anything that was worth a damn. Okay? Mistake, fear, just driving me right into a ditch. So all of these bad moves, all of this, me just throwing money, trying to make it go. I mean, I was on a grind, I'm telling you guys, and it was just nonsensical because I was trying to prove and validate that I was capable. I could do this, right? And all the while, God, universe, just telling me, girl, this is not for you. You should not be doing it. But I just kept going. I kept going. And we all know the ending of that story, the end of that business. I ultimately filed bankruptcy. I lost my condo that I had back in Texas. I was in California at this point, and I just couldn't keep it going. Just couldn't keep it going. So that was devastating. That was heartbreaking. That was crushing. And I had to sit with that. So I sat, I want to say about a year, 2012. Because I filed the bankruptcy in 2011. 2012 was the worst year. And, by this point, my dad is pissed because I am seriously broke. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I am calling home every month, asking my dad to pay my LA rent. He was pissed. My rent was over $2,000. Maybe at that time it wasn't. It was high, whatever. And, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And then, as I've said in the past, I had a dream about ineedablackhairstylist.com, the website that I needed to build, not knowing how to build a website. Then I built the website. Then I started getting clients. So I moved from making a tangible good to a service-based business where I was able to offer my services, my expertise, feel validated, valuable, really make a difference for people in their businesses, which was everything to me because that's the thing I was craving before, not just with the clothing line, but with, my job in advertising. And I was really able to define a new form of success for myself because one of the things my dad always told me, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you can keep. And when I had the clothing line, I couldn't keep anything. When I have my service-based business, I can keep because I was outputting a lot of time, especially as I was learning this new skill and really developing and growing the business. But it really was a whole shift in the way that I was thinking because I could do the work, I could get paid, and it was just done, right? And I just wasn't as stressed out. I will never go back to making a clothing line again. People ask me about it all the time because quite honestly, it was really nice. I mean, the fabric was really, really nice. And I sold to some really nice places. And, wasn't a complete fail. I sold to the Wynn in Vegas, to the Aria in Vegas. I did get some press. I was in Women's Wear Daily. Oprah contacted me one time and I almost made it to the O list, but I didn't make it, which was a bummer. Vanessa Williams requested it and she wore it on Desperate Housewives, which was so cool. I don't even know where she found it, but it was really cool. I made it to her sizes. They called me and I lived right over the hill from where they filmed Desperate Housewives at the time. So there was definitely some success with it. that whole business was a complete struggle because I started it from the wrong place. I was not healed inside. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have community. I had fear. These are all things that I work out now with people that I have in my, aura that I didn't have back then. And it's a shame because I know if I would have had that, I would have, I probably wouldn't have ended up where I ended. A lot of times back then, nobody wanted to admit that they were failing. Nobody wanted to admit that they were struggling. And quite frankly, a lot of the lines that I know about back then that were trying to do the same thing I was doing, they're no longer in existence. Obviously, they were struggling as well, but I wouldn't have felt like such a failure. I would have had somebody to bounce ideas off of, talk to, work through, the things that you need to have when you start a business, if only. But I kept a lot of it secret. I downplayed what I was going through, and it was really emotional. I mean, it was a lot. It was brutal. And I was low key. Maybe I was. I don't know if I was really depressed, but filing bankruptcy it was rough. That was, talk about feeling like a failure. So the whole community aspect, being able to talk to other women, being able to see other Black women do what they are doing now would have been amazing. That's not something that I was able to have because of the time. And, you guys know that community is super important, and it's something that I strive to have on this channel and am looking to build. And for those of you who didn't see last week's video, I mentioned a community that I'm building. I talked about a community that I'm building, and I teased it last month, and now the community is happening. I am talking to women who are truly serious about wanting to do their own thing. Now, I talked about this last week. If you want to do your own thing, if you're looking to get out of corporate, or even if you've left corporate and you're wanting to do something and you know what it is you're trying to do, the community that I'm looking to build is a small cohort of Black women. I said I was going to do 10 to 12, but I might end up capping it at 8 because I just want it to be, it's not going to be a community that you can hide in. You need to come and do the work. Like I said, working for yourself is not for the faint at heart. Black women who know what they want to do, who want to have that support, that accountability. It's a 10-week program. We're going to start the week of March 16th, and we're going to go for 10 weeks. We're going to talk about financials, feasibility, emotional feasibility, time feasibility. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about choosing your offer, how to network, how to get it out there, all of the things that you need to know to start a business, to actually get your business in motion. A community where we're accountable to one another, where you have one-on-one time with me, you have time with the other members of the cohort, and we come together to support each other so you can get your shit out there, right? You can have that support. A lot of times, like I've said, support isn't guaranteed with your friends who may or may not have a business, most likely don't have a business. Or it's not guaranteed from your family who's fearful that you're going to go broke and end up coming and asking them for money. That's not the type of support that you're looking for. You need support of like-minded women who are really, really trying to do something. So I said before, and I want to bring this up and make sure you understand, if you are a person who knows you want to do something, but you have no idea what you want to do, the community is probably not for you yet. This is for women who are ready to go. Not to say that if you want to do something, but you're not sure about what you want to do, that maybe we can't work together. That's possible. You can book a motion hour with me, but the community is for women who are ready to go, who know what they want to do, who know that the work that they need to put in is necessary, it's mandatory, it's got to happen in order for them to see success. If this appeals to you in any way, go to coffeenocream.com/community. There's a quick questionnaire that's going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to have a quick call. I said 15 minutes last week, but it's actually 30 because we just need more time so I can talk to you and make sure, because I want to make sure that you're going to be a right fit for the group. I don't want one apple spoiling the bunch. I don't want people coming with excuses or people who are supposed to be there who don't show up for the rest of the group. This is a commitment to this community, to the cohort. And I want it to be a beautiful experience of Black women trying to do their thing. And this is just the beta. If this goes well, the community will continue. We'll have more cohorts, maybe not at the price, because this is a paid experience. This is a paid experience. This is not a free community. We do need to pay to be there. And if that's not for you, that's fine as well. There are so many other resources that I'm bringing in the podcast with guests, discussions, conversations, or something cheaper like Emotion Hour for you might work. But this is a paid community. If that's not for you, that's fine. There will be other things, but I really do want the right women to support each other, to have support for themselves, get that one-on-one time for me. I'm going to bring in some experts to talk about some things. So we really have the tools that we need to get ourselves to the next level in our journey. So guys, I think that's it. That's all I've got. If you guys have more questions about the business, the clothing line, or you want to ask me more questions about that, I am totally game and I will tell you whatever you want to know. I just am so vocal about the failure of it and I really should quit saying the failure, but I learned my lessons, but I also made some missteps in a big way. And I'm so open to sharing those missteps with you because I just don't want you to do the same thing. And I know that when you don't deal with some of the things that are going on inside and you're trying to start a business for a different reason other than you feel called or led to do it, or other than your desire to make a difference, any of those things, it can end up going wrong. If you're starting a business to get rich quick, if you're starting a business to prove something to somebody, to spite someone, it's not likely going to end well, right? So we need to make sure, as we all are moving into our pivots, as we're pivoting, as we're making sure we're taking the right steps and doing the right things, that we're doing them with purpose and the right purpose, and not coming at it with unhealed wounds and anger and the need to validate ourselves to others or for any other reason other than the desire to do what it is that we feel called to do. So hopefully you guys, this has helped someone. If you've stuck around this far, please please share, please subscribe. Facebook group community link is below. coffeenocream.com/community. If you are interested in this beautiful cohort space of Black women where we are going to get you out of wherever you are and into business for yourself. And I think that is everything. So thanks so much, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging in there. And I will see you in the next episode.